Good afternoon. This is All India Radio. I'm Anuja Kumar, and with me is Abhishek Mukhopadhyay with the Midday News. The headlines. Prime Minister Narendra Modi to inaugurate 7th edition of Raisina Dialogue today. Prime Minister Narendra Modi holds talks with European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen in New Delhi. Both leaders review progress in the vibrant India-EU strategic partnership. The first edition of the Naval Commanders Conference of 2022 is underway in New Delhi. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh and External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar to address the event. Union Agriculture Ministry to launch Kisan Bhagidari Prathmikta Hamari campaign from today. Health Minister Dr. Mansukh Mandavia says government sets a target to eliminate malaria from the country by 2030. Emmanuel Macron re-elected for second consecutive term as the President of France. Prime Minister Narendra Modi extends greetings. United States announces $322 million in foreign military financing and $165 million sale of ammunition to Ukraine. In the Khelo India University Games, Siv Sridhar from Jain University and V. Varsha from the University of Madras win gold medal in swimming. In Santosh Trophy football in Group B, services to take on Odisha at the Kottapadi Stadium, Gujarat to meet Karnataka in the second encounter at Payanar Stadium today, and in IPL cricket, Punjab Kings to take on Chennai Super Kings in Mumbai this evening. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will inaugurate the 7th edition of Raisina Dialogue in New Delhi today. President of the European Commission Ursula von der Leyen will be the chief guest in the dialogue. Several former prime ministers of different countries and other dignitaries will also participate in the event. The three-day dialogue is based on the theme Terra Nova, Impassioned, Impatient, Imperiled. There are 6 broad thematic pillars of the dialogue, including rethinking democracy, end of multilateralism, water caucuses, and achieving green transitions. Raisina Dialogue will have around 100 sessions with over 210 speakers from 90 countries. Last year, the dialogue was held in a virtual format due to exceptional circumstances necessitated by the COVID-19 pandemic. This year, the dialogue is being held in an in-person format. The organizers have taken all necessary measures to adhere to COVID-19 health protocols to ensure safe conduct of the dialogue. More from our correspondent.
The Raisina Dialogue is India's flagship conference on geopolitics and geoeconomics held annually since 2016. It is a multilateral conference committed to addressing the most challenging issues facing the global community. Every year, global leaders in policy, business, media and civil society are hosted in New Delhi to discuss cooperation on a wide range of pertinent international policy matters. The conference is hosted by the Observer Research Foundation in collaboration with the Ministry of External Affairs. In the past 7 years, the Raisina Dialogue has grown in stature and profile to emerge as a leading global conference on international affairs. With Anand Kumar, Suparna Saikia, AIR News, Delhi.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi held talks with European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen in New Delhi today. Both the leaders reviewed the progress in the vibrant India-EU strategic partnership. Mr. Modi agreed to deepen cooperation in areas of trade, climate, digital technology and people-to-people ties.
भारत का और यूरोपीय यूनियन काउंसिल के साथ पिछले दिनों हमारी वर्चुअल समिट का मौका मिला था। इंडिया यूनियन का लेकिन मैं आशा करता हूं कि बहुत ही जल्द हम फिर से रूबरू मिल करके बहुत ही निकट संवाद करेंगे। मुझे खुशी है कि हमारे विदेश मंत्री जब आए थे आपने बहुत ही अच्छी मीटिंग ऑर्गेनाइज की और भारत के साथ चर्चा करने का एक अच्छा अवसर आपने दिया था और इसलिए भी मैं समझता हूं कि आपके नेतृत्व में भारत और यूरोप के संबंधों एक नई ऊंचाई मिल रही है, संपर्कों के नए क्षेत्र खुल रहे हैं और ये हमारा सहयोग और अधिक हमारे संबंधों को आगे बढ़ाएगा।
The EC President Ursula von der Leyen also said,
We are a vibrant democracy. We are strong supporters of the international rules-based order. We are a large economy. And the European Union has only one Trade and Technology Council in place, and that is with the United States. And I think, therefore, it is time that it was so important for us to put up a second Trade and Technology Council with India.
Earlier, External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar called on Ms. Lane. Both of them discussed taking forward India-EU partnership. They exchanged views on the economic and political implications of the Ukraine conflict. Ms. Lane said strengthening the partnership is a key priority for this decade. She also highlighted that India-EU will step up cooperation in trade, technology and security. Ms. Lane informed that India and EU will also launch the EU-India Trade and Technology Council. The Trade and Technology Council will provide the political steer and the necessary structure to operationalize political decisions, coordinate technical work, and report to the political level to ensure implementation and follow-up in areas that are important for the sustainable progress of European and Indian economies.
European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen has said that the European Union, EU, and India need to step up their cooperation in renewable energy. Ms. von der Leyen is in India on a two-day visit aimed at strengthening European Union-India ties. On the first day yesterday, she interacted with youngsters at the Tehri Gram campus in Haryana, which is devoted to developing green technologies. She also addressed a gathering at the headquarters of the International Solar Alliance, ISA, which was jointly launched by India and France. During her address at ISA, von der Leyen noted that Europe wants to be a carbon neutral by 2050 and India by 2070. India is also committed to generating half its energy needs from renewable sources by 2030, and Europe has set similar goals. She also noted India's energy use had doubled in the past 2 decades and will continue to grow, reflecting that the country's economy is doing well. Union Prime Minister R.K. Singh, who is also President of the International Solar Alliance, ISA Assembly, noted that India has taken the globally acknowledged initiative of energy transition. Mr. Singh said it is time now for all countries to come together and contribute to solve each other's problems. The first edition of the Naval Commanders Conference of 2022 is underway in New Delhi. The conference serves as a platform for naval commanders to discuss important maritime matters at the military strategic level, as well as interact with senior government functionaries through an institutionalized forum. During the conference, Defence Minister Rajnath Singh and External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar will address and interact with the naval commanders on matters pertaining to national security. The chiefs of the Indian Army and Indian Air Force will also interact with naval commanders to address the convergence of the three services vis-à-vis a common operational environment, as well as discuss avenues of augmenting tri-service synergy and readiness. The Navy Chief, along with other officers, will review major operational, material, logistics, human resource development, training and administrative activities undertaken by the Indian Navy in the last 6 months and further deliberate upon future plans for important activities and initiatives. The conference will also dwell upon the dynamics of the geostrategic situation in the backdrop of security scenario in the neighborhood, as well as changes emerging due to the ongoing Russia-Ukraine conflict.
Union Health Minister Dr. Mansukh Mandavia has said that the government is working on a comprehensive plan towards elimination of malaria and tuberculosis from the country. He said the government has set a target of elimination of malaria from the country by 2030 and making the country TB-free by 2025. Addressing a function organized on the occasion of World Malaria Day in New Delhi, Dr. Mandavia said that in the days to come, the Health Ministry will launch a comprehensive drive to achieve the goals of eliminating TB and malaria. Speaking about the cases of malaria, the Health Minister informed that the country has registered around 86% decline in malaria cases and around 79% decline in deaths due to malaria since 2015. He called for collective efforts from all the stakeholders to eliminate malaria from the country. He also emphasized on creating awareness among the people about the programs being implemented towards reduction of the vector-borne disease. He also informed that the country will soon come out with indigenous vaccine against malaria. Minister of State for Health Dr. Bharati Praveen Pawar also addressed the event. Unnat Bharat Abhiyan UBA 2.0 has completed 4 years today. On this day in 2018, the UBA 2.0 was launched with the vision of transformational change in rural development processes. Unnat Bharat Abhiyan is a flagship program of the Education Ministry which aims to link the higher education institutions with set of at least 5 villages so that these institutions can contribute to the economic and social betterment of these village communities using their knowledge base. Currently, 748 institutions are participating under the scheme.
India's exports of ceramics and glassware products for 2021-22 hit a record at $3,464 million. During fiscal year 2013-14, India's ceramic and glassware products exports were valued at $1,292 million. Commerce and Industry Minister Piyush Goyal said that the export growth of ceramic tiles had been achieved because of a surge in shipments of ceramic tiles and sanitary wares products. Mr. Goyal said today Indian tile industry has become global player and earns foreign exchange for the nation with Make in India approach. He said today India is world's second largest manufacturer of tiles. India exports to more than 125 countries and top destinations include Saudi Arabia, United States, Mexico, Kuwait, United Arab Emirates, Iraq, Oman, Indonesia, United Kingdom and Poland. Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu today asked the exporters to explore new markets across the globe to sustain the country's economic momentum. He presented the Export Excellence Awards for the units located inside the Madras Exports Processing Zone in Chennai today in presence of Minister of State for Commerce and Industry, Anupriya Singh Patel.
The country's exports have grown manifold in recent years. There was a record achievement of $418 billion of merchandise exports in the just concluded 2021-22 financial year. Service exports were about $250 billion, a remarkable achievement in spite of pandemic. Not in ordinary terms. This trend should continue, and I am sure that exporters will increase in their production and then make more exports in the coming months to bring in more precious foreign exchange to the country.
In Assam, the BJP has swept the Guwahati Municipal Corporation GMC polls. The BJP and its ally Ahom Gon Parishad won 58 seats in the 60-member corporation. While the BJP got 52 seats, Ahom Gon Parishad managed to win 6 seats. Ahom Jatiya Parishad and AAP got 1 seat each. The opposition Congress didn't win any seat. The GMC election was held after 9 years. Prime Minister Narendra Modi thanked the Guwahatians for the mandate in favour of the BJP to build on the agenda of development. Ministry of Agriculture and Farmers Welfare is organising the Kisan Bhagidari Prathmikta Hamari campaign from today. The campaign, which will continue till 30th of this month, is being organised under Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav in association of various other ministries and departments. The Department of Agriculture, Research and Education would be organising a Krishi Mela at each Krishi Vigyan Kendra and field exhibition on natural farming. Union Agriculture Minister Narendra Singh Tomar will launch the countrywide workshop on crop insurance organised by Common Service Centre. A national Atmanirbhar Bharat conclave of 75 selected farmers and entrepreneurs will be under the campaign. Milestones of agriculture development in 75 years of Indian independence, including Green Revolution, self-sufficiency in food grain production, will be highlighted during the campaign.
More than 187 crore 71 lakh COVID vaccine doses have been administered in the country so far under the nationwide vaccination drive. More than 3,64,000 doses were administered in the last 24 hours. During the same period, 2,541 new cases were reported in the country. India's active case load currently stands at 16,522 and it is 0.04%. The recovery rate is currently at 98.75%. You are listening to the Midday News on All India Radio. A reminder of the headlines before we move on. Prime Minister Narendra Modi to inaugurate 7th edition of Raisina Dialogue today. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will hold talks with the European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen in New Delhi. Both leaders review progress in the vibrant India-EU strategic partnership. The first edition of the Naval Commanders Conference of 2022 is underway in New Delhi. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh and External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar to address the event. Union Agriculture Ministry to launch Kisan Bhagidari Prathmikta Hamari campaign from today. Health Minister Dr. Mansukh Mandavia says government sets a target to eliminate malaria from the country by 2030. Emmanuel Macron, re-elected for the second consecutive term as the President of France. Prime Minister Narendra Modi extends greetings. United States announces $322 million in foreign military financing and approves $165 million sale of ammunition to Ukraine. In the Khelo India University Games, Shiva Sridhar from Jain University and V. Varsha from the University of Madras win gold medal in swimming. In Santosh Trophy football in Group B, services to take on Odisha at the Kotapati Stadium, Gujarat to meet Karnataka in the second encounter at Payanath Stadium today, and in IPL cricket, Punjab Kings to take on Chennai Super Kings in Mumbai this evening. For quick news updates around the clock, follow us on a Twitter handle at @AIR News Alerts.
कंपटीशन की अगर आप कर रहे हैं तैयारी तो उनके लिए ऑल इंडिया रेडियो पर हम लाए हैं अभ्यास, एक ऐसा कार्यक्रम जिसमें आप पूछेंगे सवाल व्हाट्सएप नंबर 9289094044 पर या फिर ईमेल करेंगे abhyas.airnews@gmail.com पर और हमारे विशेषज्ञ देंगे इसका जवाब। इस बार का विषय है सोशियोलॉजी। सवाल भेजने की अंतिम तारीख है 27 अप्रैल। आपका अभ्यास हमारा प्रयास।
Welcome back to the Midday News on All India Radio. Emmanuel Macron has won a second term in France's presidential election with 58.2% of the vote. Macron's far-right challenger Marine Le Pen won 41.8% of the vote in an election that saw the country's highest abstention rate in 50 years. After polls closed across France at 8 p.m. local time, the final result will be announced by the country's Interior Ministry today. 44-year-old Macron looks set to become the first president since Chirac 2 decades ago to secure a second term in office. Congratulations wishes poured in from around the world after Macron won the French presidential election. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has congratulated Emmanuel Macron. In a tweet, Mr. Modi said that he looks forward to continue working together to deepen the India-France strategic partnership. The United States announces that it will provide Ukraine with $322 million in foreign military financing and has approved a $165 million sale of ammunition to the country. The announcement came after U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken and Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin met Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky in Kyiv on Sunday. It was the highest level visit by an American delegation since the start of the conflict. The new money brings the total amount of U.S. military assistance to Ukraine to $3.7 billion since the invasion, officials said. After the meeting, Mr. Austin is going to Hamstein in Germany for a meeting of NATO defense ministers and other donor countries.
In Leh, a 5-day super specialty mega-free medical camp began in SNM Hospital today. Under the aegis of Ashoka Mission, 30 super specialists from various departments of All India Institute of Medical Sciences, AIIMS, are providing medical and surgical services to Ladakh patients in the camp. While thanking the Ashoka Mission and AIIMS specialist doctors, LAHDC Leh Executive Councillor Stanjin Choswell brought to the notice that the region is suffering different lifestyle diseases, cancer and eye-related issues. Speaking on the occasion, Chief of the Rajendra Prasad Centre Ophthalmology, AIIMS, Dr. Jivan S. Titiyal said,
So this time we have a larger approach, and as far as eye surgeries are concerned, we are going to do almost 100 surgeries here, and already we have 100 patients lined up for surgeries. Mainly those will be cataract surgeries. Cancer I talked about, that's a major challenge for more people. Having a very high ultraviolet rays radiation here, that also exposes skin cancer, eye cancers, that is also happening. Many people suffer from a chronic eye disease here, and glaucoma is also increasing in this part of our country also. So I think those are major issues which people have to tackle apart from the general disorder which is here in this part.
The Minister of Civil Aviation today organized a mega event, Yog Prabha, at Safdarjung Airport in New Delhi. The event was inaugurated by Union Minister of Civil Aviation, Jyotiraditya Scindia, and the Minister of State for Civil Aviation, Dr. V.K. Singh. Over 900 officials participated in this mega event. Yoga instructors from Morarji Desai Institute of Yoga guided the participants in performing various yoga, asana and pranayam techniques. Addressing the event, Civil Aviation Minister said,
योग एक वास्तविक तौर पर एक ऐसा अभ्यास है जो मन, मस्तिष्क और शरीर को संतुलित नहीं करता केवल, लेकिन उसके साथ एक आनंद और अमन चैन का वातावरण पैदा करता है। मन और मस्तिष्क के बीच में एक स्थिरता का वातावरण और उसी के साथ शारीरिक रूप से व्यक्ति को एक नई ऊर्जा भी प्रदान करता है।
And now let's listen to our special program Azadi Ka Safar, highlighting the importance of the day during the freedom struggle.
आजादी का अमृत महोत्सव।
Azadi Ka Safar with AIR News. Birth of a Nation. India's glorious freedom struggle is one of the greatest struggles the modern world has ever witnessed. AIR News brings you a glimpse of the struggle every day.
सूरज दी कुखों जाइयां धुप्पां ने ठरना नहीं, सतलुज दे पानी विचों गैरत ने मरना नहीं, सतलुज दे पानी विचों ओ गैरत ने मरना नहीं।
On 25th of April 1809, the Treaty of Amritsar was signed between the British East India Company and the legendary Sikh leader Maharaja Ranjit Singh.
Maharaja Ranjit Singh proclaimed himself Maharaja of the Punjab in 1801. By 1808, he had expanded his kingdom to an area bounded by Gujarat, Ludhiana and Multan. With Ranjit Singh's plans to extend his control over Malwa on the south side of the Satluj River, the chiefs in the area appealed to the British for protection.
जंगा दे जेतू होके सिखे ए हरना नहीं, सूरज दी कुखों जाइयां धुप्पां ने ठरना नहीं, सतलुज दे पानी विचों गैरत ने मरना नहीं।
At the same time, the British also wanted a defensive treaty to contain Punjab to the Satluj River. Thus, the pact was concluded between Charles T. Metcalfe, representing the British East India Company, and Maharaja Ranjit Singh, and it settled Indo-Sikh relations for a generation.
We also remember tribal freedom fighter Sumari Munda, who was martyred on the 25th of April 1939. Sumari belonged to Gangpur state, now in Odisha. He joined the protest against the unlawful imposition of the levy on tribal people by the Gangpur state under the leadership of tribal leader Nirmal Munda.
He also joined around 3,000 people at Simcoe Ground when Nirmal Munda went to meet the Rani of Gangpur state to discuss the matter of levy on the 25th of April 1939. However, the police started firing on the peaceful protest, and in the firing Sumari Munda was killed along with many tribals. We salute the great martyrs.
We also remember martyr Chirai Naga, who was hanged for killing British officers at Mayankang, Manipur. On the 25th of April 1891, a column of Manipur troops under the leadership of Ashang Kutpolia came to Mayankang after executing 5 Britishers at Kangla. When the Manipuri troops reached Mayankang, they were informed by the villagers that 2 British officers of the Telegraph Department were staying in the Mayankang rest house. The Manipuris fired shots, killing O'Brien instantly.
However, W.B. Melville escaped with his rifle under the cover of darkness. A big search was carried out in the nearby jungle, and Chirai Naga found W.B. Melville beside a stream, and he killed him. Chirai Naga was later arrested, tried, and hanged on the 13th of October 1891 by the British. We salute the great martyr.
We also remember Martyr Sajid Ali Khan, who took part in the First War of Indian Independence in 1857. A resident of Moradabad, Uttar Pradesh, Khan directed the pro-independence activities in Moradabad and provided financial support for them. He was captured by the British during their reoccupation of the Moradabad region on the 25th of April 1858 and was executed by hanging on the 27th of April 1858. We salute the great son of the soil.
That brings us to the end of this episode of Azadi Ka Safar with AIR News. See you in the next episode tomorrow.
In Sudan, at least 168 people were killed and 98 injured in clashes between rival groups in Darfur yesterday in the latest bout of deadly violence to hit the restive region, an aid group has said. Darfur, which was ravaged by a civil war that erupted in 2003, has seen a spike in a deadly conflict since October last year, triggered by disputes mainly over land, livestock and access to water and grazing. Adam Regal, spokesman for Independent Aid Group General Coordination for Refugees and Displaced, said that the latest fighting began on Friday in the Krink region of the West Darfur. He feared that the death toll could rise. On to sports. In the Khelo India University Games today in Bengaluru, Shiva Sridhar from Jain University won gold in men's 200 meters individual medley event. In another event, V. Varsha from the University of Madras has won a gold medal in swimming. In hockey preliminary matches, Guru Nanak Dev University of Amritsar defeated VBS Purvanchal University of Janupur in UP by 4-1. In another match, Bangalore University defeated Lovely Professional University of Phagwara by a lead of 6-1. Several other matches in volleyball, badminton, football, boxing and Malakhamb are being held today. For the second edition of Khelo India University Games that was inaugurated yesterday, over 4,000 sportspersons from over 200 universities are competing in 20 disciplines. Khelo India, Khelo. Khelo India, Khelo. Khelo India, Khelo.
In the Santosh Trophy football, Punjab defeated Meghalaya by a solitary goal at the Pine Art Stadium in Manjeri yesterday evening. Meghalaya dominated the first half of the game, but it was Punjab who put up a better performance in the second. Though both teams were goalless at half-time, Amarpreet Singh struck in the 46th minute to place Punjab ahead. Today in Group B, services will take on Odisha at the Kotapati Stadium at 4 p.m, while Gujarat will meet Karnataka in the second encounter at Pine Art Stadium at 8 p.m. In IPL cricket, Punjab Kings will take on Chennai Super Kings at the Wankhede Stadium in Mumbai at 7:30 p.m. today. Last night, Lucknow Super Giants defeated Mumbai Indians by 36 runs at the Wankhede Stadium in Mumbai. Chasing a target of 169 runs, Mumbai Indians made 132 for 8 in the stipulated 20 overs. Rohit Sharma was the top scorer for Mumbai Indians with a 39-run knock.
And now, before we end the bulletin, the headlines once again. Prime Minister Narendra Modi to inaugurate 7th edition of Raisina Dialogue today. Prime Minister Narendra Modi holds talks with European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen in New Delhi. Both leaders review progress in the vibrant India-EU strategic partnership. The first edition of the Naval Commanders Conference of 2022 is underway in New Delhi. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh and External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar to address the event. Union Agriculture Ministry to launch Kisan Bhagidari Prathmikta Hamari campaign from today. Health Minister Dr. Mansukh Mandviya says government sets a target to eliminate malaria from the country by 2030. Emmanuel Macron re-elected for second consecutive term as the President of France. Prime Minister Narendra Modi extends greetings. United States announces $322 million in foreign military financing and approves $165 million sale of ammunition to Ukraine. In the Khelo India University Games, Shiva Sridhar from Jain University and V. Varsha from the University of Madras win gold medal in swimming. In Santosh Trophy football in Group B, services to take on Odisha at the Kottapady Stadium, Gujarat to meet Karnataka in the second encounter at Payanar Stadium today, and in IPL cricket, Punjab Kings to take on Chennai Super Kings in Mumbai this evening. And with that, we end the midday news.